Hello, everybody. Welcome to the BasuandGodin Notebook on this Friday. Woo! Friday the 13th. Second month in a row.
Yeah.
Second month in a row that we've got a Friday the 13th. This one in March. I'm Marc-Antoine Godin with Arpin Basu. Arpin, we got a busy show today. Got lots
We
to
do.
talk about.
A lot of stuff happened. We have to break down the huge Hunter
Blockbuster
Shepard.
trade.
Yeah, the huge blockbuster trade. This is an emergency pod to deal with the huge blockbuster trade that just went down. So Hunter Shepard, Jake Chiasson, or Chiasson, he probably goes by, for Riley Kidney, which the Canadiens completed on the AHL trade deadline, which I believe is today. So they get themselves a goalie for Laval, which indicates, in not so unclear terms, that Jacob Fowler is staying in Montreal for the rest of the season. Pretty much assures that eventuality. So we kind of knew that Fowler wasn't going to be ping-ponging back and forth to Laval. They only have 5 call-ups. They can't really afford to do that. From a salary cap perspective, that would have been beneficial, but since they have limited to 5 call-ups, they might do it once, maybe if they get a stretch of days where they can save some money, but otherwise Jacob Fowler's going to be in Montreal. And actually they can't do that because Fowler would have to play a game in Laval, right? If they were to do that under the new rules, you can't just paper a guy to the AHL. So would at least have to dress.
Yeah. So Hunter Shepard played a game for the Senators this season. So, 30 years old. It's good to have him as a backup in Laval. But it clearly that's what it indicates. So beyond the frivolous or benign nature of that deal, that's the main takeaway. But hey, it's who would think otherwise? Think after with the sort of performance that Fowler showed the other night in Ottawa. I don't know if he's going to take over as number one anytime soon. There's going to be a battle between him and Dobes, but we had our Google Meet, our monthly Google Meet with our founding members for the podcast yesterday, and I was telling them that I think that the fact that this second call up, the fact that he's been called up earlier in the season, will pay dividends second time around. That instead of him being called up right now for the first time, no matter how good he might have been in Laval over the course of the season, he comes back and he's in a known territory. He knows the environment. He knows the guys. Feels like he's coming back onto his team. And the level of familiarity, I think, will make it so that a guy who's already calm enough, who's already seems to show a lot of poise in front of an NHL net, the fact that it's his second time around, it'll make it only easier for him. I think that there's a lot of information that both the goaltender and the team have learned about each other over the course of the season. And Fowler should be able to help them even more down the stretch than he has when he had to put out that fire in December. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's I think the call up in December was an emergency, right? They had reached a point where they couldn't tolerate the way their goaltenders were playing anymore, particularly Sam Montembeault. Needed to do something. But in hindsight, at the time it just seemed like an emergency move, and I wouldn't characterize it as a panic move just because, it was very similar to the call up of Dobes the year before, right? It was right around the same time of year.
Yeah.
A little bit earlier in Fowler's case, but not much, a few weeks. And so, and similarly to Dobes, Fowler stabilized the position, gave Sam some time to sort of, to some extent, find his game, which he has subsequently lost again, which basically made this move to call him up to play against Ottawa, to call Fowler up against Ottawa, um, necessary. This is really an indictment of Sam Montembeault's inability to create any sort of momentum in his season, and it's unfortunate. But the Canadiens gave him ample time, ample opportunity. They were ready for him, or hoping for him to take the reins and kind of be their number one guy, be the guy that they've known for the last 2, if not 3 years. And he never did that. And so now Fowler gets this opportunity. And the one thing that call up serves, like, I don't think this was the intention at the time, but you're right. It does make this move now much easier, because not only have they seen how he performed, which was very, very good, but he didn't light the world on fire. He had some excellent games for sure. He had some that were a little more difficult. But his temperament and his way of handling the whole situation, that's what they saw. And that filled them with confidence, because the way he carries himself around that dressing room, the respect his teammates already have for him in terms of his work ethic and his demeanor, makes this move possible. Because otherwise, if his teammates did not have that confidence, they would be like, what are you doing calling up this 21-year-old kid at the most important time of the year? This makes no sense. Whereas I don't get the sense that a single person in that Canadiens dressing room thinks that way about Jacob Fowler, because they've already seen him in action and they've already seen how he handles the pressure of an NHL dressing room, the pressure of NHL arenas, and the pressure of NHL expectations. And in that regard, he was irreproachable during the first month that he spent with the team.
Yeah, but you're right when you talk about Montembeault being given ample opportunities. But I mean, you look at how in mid to late November, Dobes started, playing a ton. He lost some ice time at that point. That was probably the first strike. Then Fowler is called up. Then he is sent down for conditioning. And also, let's not forget that the Canadiens firing Éric Raymond is an indictment also of Montembeault's inability to sort himself out. So from that point on, he was on a very short leash, and he had a great performance in Winnipeg just before the Olympic break, but came back and did not build on that. And I think that that his game in Anaheim was the last straw. But right now, the Canadiens are in a mode where results are paramount, and this is all that matters. And for Martin Saint Louis said it much. This is time of results, and this is what we need. And whether you like it or not, even Montembeault might be a very nice guy, but he's not able to deliver the way I think Fowler is going to be. I'm really intrigued to see down the stretch that competitive fire that he's got in him, the inner competition that's going to be created quickly between him and Dobes, because both of those guys will want the net come playoff time. That's going to be a talking point from this point on until the end of the season. Who's going to be the starting goalie for the Canadiens in the playoffs? Obviously, for now, it's a crapshoot, but at least the Canadiens give themselves interesting options. It all arrives probably a year earlier than they thought. But I think that Dobes is served well if he's being pushed, if he's in a competition, if he doesn't play too much. And Fowler is, to take Bob Gainey's expression, he's the thoroughbred. So I don't know. It's going to be an intriguing.
Well, it's very similar to, because when you say that, throw development out the window, I think Fowler represents the best of both worlds, in the sense that he can produce results, and this can fast track his development. Whatever experience he lives in the playoffs, and whether he starts game one or not, I feel very confident saying that Jacob Fowler will start a playoff game at some point. Whether he starts the first one, I don't know. But at some point, they're going to turn to Fowler and say, you're getting the game. And so everything that he's going to experience, this stretch run down the regular season to make the playoffs, and the jostling for positioning that they're going to be doing. And who knows? I mean, if the Canadiens hit even like a minor snag, if they hit a 3-game losing streak, like their whole playoff presence could be put in question very quickly because teams are pushing. Columbus is pushing hard. And so there's no assurance that they're even going to make the playoffs. So there's that layer of pressure. But Fowler's going to benefit from this long term, very much the way that Carey Price did at a slightly younger age. But, Bob Gainey intentionally threw Carey Price into this fire and said it's better for him to learn this stuff now so we can benefit from it later. So in Fowler's case, the call up in December is like a mini version of that. Let's do this now so we can benefit from it later. But from a more macro standpoint, if this guy's going to be the starting goaltender for this team when they hope to be a Stanley Cup contender, anything he gains now will benefit him then. It's really so. Yes, that him being here is their best chance of producing results, a way better chance than Sam Montembeault was giving them. But it also, and even in the case of Dobes, I mean, I don't think we should forget that Dobes is a rookie, right? It's like he's a rookie goaltender.
Oh, it's not lost on me at all.
I mean, so now there's 2 rookie goaltenders that are going to benefit from this, and may the best man win. Like, honestly, this is going to be a great, fascinating competition, and who's in the starters now, who's starting on any given night will never have been more fascinating than it is now, because these 2 guys are not only fighting for the net now, I feel like they're kind of fighting for the net over the medium term. Like who is the goalie of the future in this organization? And these guys are going head to head. It's going to be fun to watch, I think.
Yeah, there's okay. So I don't want to continue this comparison with Carey Price, and put unnecessary pressure on the kid. But to me, it there's a little bit of Price versus Halak type of vibe when they first arrived in the NHL. One that's slightly older than the other one. That's more like more of the underdog prospect compared to the other one.
Who's from the same part of the world.
That's it.
Not the same country, but the same part of the world.
There are similarities I find between those 2 situations, but and through all that, I mean, Martin Saint Louis after the game explained that it's those are tough decisions, but he's got to make them, even though it affects negatively people that he adores and loves. But it was clear a few hours before when he met the media at the team's hotel in Ottawa that it bothers him a great deal, because when people ask him questions about in this case it was Jacob Fowler, but there's been other instances in the past, but the questions might be about Jacob Fowler's call up, but the subtext is Montembeault could not do it. And he was aggravated by that. He was bothered by having to make sure that he would not throw his goalie under the bus. And so that's why he had such a short fuse.
I think understandably so. Honestly, like I understand that it always sounds better when the coach or whoever you're talking to just says it. And so that this comment is coming from the source. Martin St. Louis' line continuously over and over again was that we felt this was the best decision for us in a back-to-back situation. He just kept saying that over and over and over again. And so that's what he decided he was going to say. And he was banking on, somewhat justifiably, banking on the fact that communicated well enough that Sam Montembeault does not provide us with good enough chance to win this game. So we're calling up Jacob Fowler. So read into it what you should read into it. Don't make me come out and say that Sam Montembeault has not been good enough. I don't want to do that. That's why he lost his cool. And I get that. I also get the guys who were there asking the question, because you want that answer, like that's what you're looking for. But I understand him not wanting to flat out say that we had to do this because Sam didn't get the job done, or whatever version of that you want to hear. He didn't want to say that, and I get that. That's perfectly fair. But he made the decision. The decision spoke for itself. That's why I get his point of view. Is that why do you need me to say it? Look what we're doing. We have gone to the extreme measure of calling up this kid on a back-to-back, and he was probably listen. Fowler told reporters this was actually I wasn't there, but the live mic kind of caught him saying that he had arrived in Ottawa the night before, and I would imagine he didn't travel there with the team. He would have gone on his own.
That's it. He was waiting for the team there. Yeah,
he was waiting for the team there. So, this was known for a while. Probably known since that game in Anaheim that this is what they were going to do. Like it's so, and that's hard. Sam Montembeault is basically the only goalie that Martin St. Louis has known as a coach, more or less, as far as being his guy and being a guy that he can rely on for results. So it's got to hurt to be like, we're going to take this kid over you. And it's good for Marty to recognize that decision had to be made, that you had given enough rope to Sam Montembeault. You'd done everything in your power to help him find his game, including the conditioning stint in Laval, including firing the goalie coach and bringing in the guy that he knows the best in Marco Marciano. Everything had been done to get Sam on the right track, and Sam was not able to get on the right track. And it's a results-based league. It is not a development league, right? And so, and Sam Montembeault is not at a stage of his career where he should require development. I mean, goaltending is a volatile position. Everyone understands that. Goalies go through off years. It doesn't mean your career is over. But in the here and now, what I mentioned earlier about like the guys in the room wondering about bringing a kid in, if they had not done this with Sam Montembeault, the guys in the room would be like, listen, we love Sam, but we need someone else back there. It has to be something that was percolating in the minds of the guys and subconsciously, because I don't think anyone consciously would say that about their teammate. But that game against Anaheim, the Canadiens should have won that game going away. They scored 5 goals. They should have won that game. And there were many reasons for the Canadiens to blame themselves for losing that game in a shootout, to get a full 2-minute overtime power play. You should be able to finish that off. Again, 6-on-5 at the end of a game. You should be able to prevent that. Wide open point shot for Jacob Trouba, something they had specifically worked on in San Jose a few days earlier. That exact scenario plays out in that game. So there were lots of reasons for the guys playing in front of Sam to take that one on themselves, to blame themselves for that. But the reality is they scored 5 goals. Mm-hmm. You should be able to get a win when you score 5 goals, and they did not. And so, Sam has another year left on his contract. Like I just wonder, this is not actually that pressing a concern right now, but it does make you wonder if we've seen the last game Sam Montembeault is ever going to play for the Canadiens.
Well, yeah, I was just about to ask you, because you talk about the back-to-back argument. The Canadiens are heading into another back-to-back this weekend. Dobes will face the San Jose Sharks. Then on Sunday, presumably, logically, it would be Gator as Jacob Fowler against the Anaheim Ducks. And through all that, do you see Montembeault playing a single game, barring any injuries? Do you see Montembeault playing again this year, or they're just going to go with those two? And
I don't see it.
Ainsi va la vie.
I don't see it. I think the Hunter Shepard deal cements that.
Yeah,
I don't think you're going to see it unless the one scenario is they have 2 road games to finish the season on Long Island and in Philly. If their playoff positioning is locked in, they cannot move up or down. They know who they're facing. There's nothing to be gained in those games. Maybe in that scenario, Sam gets a game. Maybe. That's the only scenario I could see that happening in. So otherwise, I cannot imagine. Well, yeah, I would either that or both Fowler and Dobes just start completely stinking. That would be the other scenario, which I find less likely, but yeah, I guess it's possible. And so It's just not.
Well, obviously, but going into next season, obviously it's too early to tell. But the one argument is that that's an awfully young tandem in front of the net as you enter your competitive window. And are you really going to go with two second-year goalies? Uh, it's it's dicey. I mean, they're both talented. I think that they will help the
they're both
Canadiens.
technically rookies.
Well, right now, but I mean,
Oh,
next
you
year.
mean next year? Yeah, right. Next year. Sorry.
So heading into next year, will they be comfortable enough to do that? Maybe. I think that the results from this last stretch and potentially the playoffs will tell us more about that. But if they're comfortable enough, because otherwise it can be Montembeault. They could bring a veteran goalie, but that would push one of Fowler or Dobes to the side, and I don't quite see that happening. Um, Even Dobes, I mean, he's you don't want you don't want to lose him for nothing. You want to still develop him. He's got great potential. Um, so I would start with the assumption that they would continue with those two next year. In which case, they could try to move Montembeault's contract, the last season of his deal, somewhere else. I mean, there are guys who have been struggling and that have been moved. In one particular case, one against the other.
Yeah.
I'm referring obviously to Skinner and Jarry, but um, at the same time, Montembeault is one bad season, and he's got a fairly, he's got a decent contract. It's nothing too prohibitive. Other teams could say, you know what, yeah, sure, he had a bad year, but what we've seen from him getting better over time, we could bring him in
Yeah.
maybe in a less stressful situation in some rebuilding team or whatever, and act as a transition goalie, pretty much the way that he's been for the Canadiens during this time.
No, I think he's still very tradable. His cap number is manageable. He has a track record. It's very. I don't have any difficulty seeing a scenario where a team would convince themselves that we can work with this guy. We've seen it from him. I mean, the guy he was on Team Canada at Four Nations. Like
That's it.
it's not like that's not a world that's it's not something to put on your tombstone, considering the goaltending situation in Canada. But still, he was at that tournament. He was the third goalie. He was there, and he had earned it. It was not some pity naming of the team. He'd earned it. So yeah, I think the Canadiens can move this contract. It's not, and let's see how this next month goes, or next couple of months, or however long the Canadiens continue playing. Let's see what happens. It's not inconceivable that Fowler's performance suggests that he might need another year in Laval, and that maybe they'd come back with Montembeault and Dobes next year. That's not impossible either. Like I don't see it as a likely scenario, but it's not impossible. It could happen. So let's see what happens here. But I think this is going to make for a fascinating end of the season. They have, this final stretch where these two goalies are basically like in a reality show style competition to decide who's going to start game one of the playoffs. I think it's going to make for great drama. It's going to make for great fodder for us to talk about and write about, and it's just going to have this. It's going to take on a life of its own. This is catnip for the Montreal hockey market, right? A good old fashioned goalie controversy, a goalie battle, a battle for the number one job in net. This is what the Montreal hockey market thrives on. This is when the Montreal hockey market gets a little crazy. This is when the crazy time happens. I've been waiting for real Montreal craziness. We're gonna have it now. This is it. There's gonna be a team Fowler. There's gonna be a team Dobes. They're gonna fight it out just like Price and Halak back in the day. It's gonna be great. I can't wait to watch it. The comment sections in our stories, and on this pod are just gonna have people snipping back and forth. Like Team Fowler versus Team Dobes. Let's go. This is Montreal hockey at its best. So happy.
Absolutely. Well, the comments on my stories on either goalies will still be Slav sucks. Because I got
some really.
Oh yeah, I got a few readers. It's like they're stuck on that button. and
Right.
that's all
Slav
they.
sucks.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, they could. I invite them to revisit,
Yeah.
but I'll just ignore the comments in this case. One thing though is that no matter who's the young goalie in that now and in the future, if they choose to go longer term with two young goaltenders, the fact remains that this team will need to cut down on scoring chances against and
Yeah.
find a more reliable, consistent structure that limits turnovers, that limits the high danger chances against, because you want to give your young goaltenders a fighting chance and help them develop and help you win. There's got to be something better in front of them because it's been we've been talking about the structure, the hybrid defense. That was the case last year. This season there's other aspects that are coming into play on with the Canadiens struggles to defend, but it's been a theme year after year, and this is something that they will need to address. The offense is there, and it's going to only improve as those guys mature, but the defense, I think, needs to be a significant focus, in practice before the end of the season, and then perhaps in player acquisition in the off season. But this is because you can have great goalies with great potential, but you need to give them some help with some better defense in front of them.
Yeah. Most notably with the opposing goalie pulled, and the Canadiens escaped the situation against Toronto thanks to a tremendous block shot from Mike Matheson. Thanks in part, let's say it's not only because of that, but that was a big part of it. And they escaped a goalie pull situation in Ottawa thanks to Fowler.
Yeah,
Let's not sugarcoat it. That was a situation where the Canadiens could have easily given up a goal on multiple occasions with the Senators goalie pulled. Slavkovsky again missing an empty net. It's become a bit of a joke with him. He joked about it today after practice when he said, "Of course, I missed the net on with the empty net." And yeah, I think that a similar situation happened in the Olympics. And I talked to him about it afterwards, and he
yeah,
was like, "Well, yeah." He's like, I think when he passed it to Tatar, he's like, when he passed it to Tatar to get the goal in the empty net, and he said, "Well, if I'd shot it, I probably would have missed the net. So I wanted to give it to someone who would actually put it in." So, but
uh,
but that
I love
save
the
in
humor
Ottawa,
on this
I
guy.
just want to share. I just want to share this story. I wrote it after the game in Ottawa, but I found this. I remembered a conversation I had with Eric Raymond during the first call up that I couldn't actually write because those conversations are off the record and you should kind of keep them to your, like, they're not supposed to be speaking reporters, but I was like, oh, he doesn't work for the team anymore, so I guess I could use it. But Raymond told me about how with Fowler we were talking about him and all the typical things, like he mentioned all the typical things that everyone talks about, and then he mentioned, and excuse me to people who read the story, but if you haven't, then he said sometimes there's also genetics, that come into it. And I was like, genetics? What the hell are you talking about? Like, the guy's 6'1". Like, he was the sixth goalie taken in his draft, largely because he's 6'1", which
Yeah,
for a normal man is a fine height, but for a goaltender is quite short, right? And so Trey Augustine's the only one of the five goalies ahead of him who are about the same height, and Augustine was even listed that year as half an inch taller than Fowler. So, but the top goalie that year was Adam Guyan, 6'4", Michael Rabel, 6'6". There was another 6'6" goalie that went. It
Damien
was
Clara, the Italian
Damian Clara is the
goalie
6'6"
that we
goalie.
saw at
That's
the
right.
Olympics. Yeah,
Exactly, the Italian goalie. That's right. That's where I recognize that name. Anyhow, so Fowler was sixth on that list, right? And so I was like, okay, well, genetics, what the hell are you talking about? Like, genetics have worked against this guy. That's what and then he explained that no, what his genetic advantage is that his hips are extremely flexible, like more flexible than a normal player's or normal goalie's hips can be, and it allows him to execute movements very quickly that other goalies can't. And that save he made on Claude Giroux was an example of his hip flexibility and his ability to get a leg out from where he was to where that leg wound up. That was not normal. And so that made me think of that Raymond conversation where this guy's range of motion from his hips is unusual, and is a gift that he has. We saw that on display against Ottawa.
That gets him a leg up too.
I thought you were going to make a Shakira joke that his hips don't lie.
Oh, sorry. I'm not. No, I'm not too much into Shakira. I don't even know that song. That's crazy.
The song Hips Don't Lie? Okay. Well,
No.
that is crazy.
Yeah, I know. But
You
hey,
should watch. Yeah.
I'll work on that.
I don't know what to say to that. Yeah, that's okay.
That's fine. I would probably recognize it if I heard it. You know,
I'm sure you would.
Just,
if you saw her singing it, you would recognize it.
Okay.
You can only imagine how she would perform Hips Don't Lie. Yes.
Okay. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
But all right. So listen, are you anything to add on Fowler? I mean, something tells me it's not the last time we talk about him.
Exactly.
So it's,
this is going to be like a daily. It's going to be a weekly segment. The Fowler versus Dobes report. You know, like this is going to dominate our lives for the next month. I feel.
Yeah.
And I bring it on, man. Honestly, like I think this is so compelling. It's so compelling. And the fact that everyone's writing off Dobes, I would not write off Jacob Dobes. That's all I'm saying. Don't write that guy off. He's super competitive. He's super athletic. He has a lot of genetic gifts that Fowler doesn't. I wouldn't write him off in this. Honestly, I think he's got more than a fighting chance to be that game one goalie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of trying to fight for your spot, at practice on Friday, you had Brendan Gallagher hustling and giving his all as if his spot depended on it. And he probably sees the writing on the wall, and his head coach sure does, because Martin Saint-Louis was asked all sorts of questions from a variety of different angles about Gallagher's spot in the
there was serious tiptoeing going on. There was serious tiptoeing going on around Marty today with all sorts of questions that never really got to the crux of, are you prepared to take Gallagher out of the lineup for Texier? But it was everything about every question. You asked him about meritocracy. There were other questions about generally, what does Gallagher bring to your lineup, and this and that. It was just all these like little tiptoeing. But, in that practice, Gallagher hammered Uri Slafkovsky with a hit during a drill, which was unusual. And there were other moments where he did things that were unusual for a veteran of 13 years to be doing in practice. I have a story about Gallagher actually that is relevant to this. This is something Gallagher told me. Remember when I went to Sawasan after the draft to do the big feature on him? So he told me a story because his first game in the Canadiens organization, the home opener in 2013, coming out of the lockout, Brendan Gallagher was a healthy scratch. Michel Therrien did not dress him. So he was in a suit and tie and waving to the crowd when he got introduced. And the crowd generally basically didn't know him other than what they'd seen in training camp, and didn't think it was a big deal that he was out of the lineup. So that's the last time he was a healthy scratch, was that first opening game of his career. Has not been one since. So he told me that the next day in practice, he went so hard and he abused Lars Eller, just beat him in every drill. And he just remembers numerous times he was going head to head with Lars Eller, battle drills, this, that. And Gallagher was acting as if his life depended on it. And Eller was acting like a player who's solidly in the lineup, who's just practicing. He's not treating it like a life or death situation. And Gallagher is. And he remained convinced all those years later when I talked to him for this feature, which was in 2019. So it was 6 years later, that practice is what got him in the lineup. And he never left. Aside from injury, he never left from that point. So he, in that moment of vulnerability, used a lesson that he had learned in junior. He had Don Hay was his coach with the Vancouver Giants. And when he started his junior career with the Vancouver Giants, not sure to spot in the lineup, was in and out of the lineup, practice, went at it hard every day. By Christmas, he was not only in the lineup, he was in the top 6. He was one of their most important players, and he earned it through practice. So when I watched him practice today, that's what I thought of, is that this guy's whole life, he has proven his value and he has proven doubters wrong by performing in practice, because he's never been given the benefit of the doubt. He's had to earn everything he's gotten, and he always did it in practice by showing that I can provide you something that these guys can't, and I'm going to show you in practice. And today's practice looked like that version of Brendan Gallagher. He was not going through the motions. He had an extra level of oomph, because he knows that his spot in the lineup is in serious jeopardy right now.
Well, when I asked Martin Saint Louis about meritocracy, he finished his answer by talking about combativeness and giving your all at practice. So for him, it's not just what do you do in games, but it's on a day-to-day basis. You merit your spot based on how you practice too. And so I think that he saw the same thing as you, because for the time being, I don't know, things can change tomorrow, but it looks as though he's going to keep his spot in the lineup for the next game, and Texier might be back, on the sidelines.
You got that impression? I can't say that with any level of assuredness. I know what the lines were at practice, but I can't say that with any level of assuredness.
Okay.
It's possible you're right. It's possible you're right. I don't know.
Well, let's see.
All I know is Marty was asked 6 or 7 questions, very similarly to the way he was asked 6 or 7 questions that he was counting, apparently, about the Fowler goalie change. He did not snap it. He didn't snap at a single one of them. Not once did he snap.
I'm not going to answer 40 questions about Brendan Gallagher.
Exactly. And, and when saying, well, it's not 40, well, it's 5 or 6. Well, today he could have easily said it's 5 or 6, and he didn't.
Yeah.
And by the end, when our colleague Eric Engels really flat out asked him a question bluntly about Brendan Gallagher and about the difficulty of taking him out of the lineup, Marty did not shoot it down. He did no such thing. He acknowledged that it's a thing that he's going to have to decide. It's going to be difficult. Like, he did not put this question to bed one bit. So I don't know what's going to happen.
No, but it's not.
Gallagher will play, but
that's. Oh no, but it's going to happen at some point.
Well, if it's going to happen at some point, then it should happen tomorrow. I don't see why you wait, because to take Texier out of the lineup the way he played against Ottawa, I don't like the message that sends to the group. He played his heart out in that game.
Yeah,
he was incredibly good. That's one of the better games I've seen Alex Texier play in a Canadiens uniform. For him to take him out after that performance, forget the goal. The fact that Suzuki line still ran smoothly with Texier there. The fact that he was hitting people, he was on the forecheck, his legs were going, he had the burst, he looked healthy for the first time in a long time. Like, there was so much to take him back out of the lineup after a performance like that. You worry about the message it sends to the room to take a leader out of the lineup like Gallagher, but I would worry more, if I were Marty, the message it sends to the room that you just played the best game you've ever played for this organization, and we're going to take you out because we're afraid of hurting that guy's feelings. Like, that's not a good message either. So you might be right. Maybe Gallagher's in tomorrow. I know that that's what the line said at practice today, but I don't think that's the way to go. I think that if you're going to take him out anyway, then take him out tomorrow. Because
there's going to be a back-to-back, right? There's going to be a back-to-back. So the excuse is right there for the taking that, you could have him.
If Texier doesn't play, there's no excuse. It's inexcusable to me for Texier to not be in the lineup tomorrow.
Right.
There's no good excuse for that.
He deserves to play. And
there's honestly, no good excuse.
And honestly, not only does he deserve to play, but I was wondering if basically you could keep Texier with Suzuki and Caulfield and slot back Slavkovsky with Demidov and, work that way around. And I don't know if Kapanen is...
Well, Texier definitely gives you that option.
Yeah.
Gallagher does not.
Well, you want to spread your offense around. I think that Texier it's quite a luxury when you think about it, to have a guy who's, for now, who's been your 13 forward, and when you insert it in the lineup, he goes on your top line, and he provides exactly what you're hoping for, if not more. So that's
Well,
they keep talking
I've seen a
about
lot
the
of.
Swiss Army knives. Well, heck, that's one right
I
there.
mean, I've seen a lot of angst, both in our chat and generally online, about the haste with which the Canadiens signed Texier to this extension.
Yeah,
And this is why they signed him to the extension. Is you can put him on your top line one night, does not look the least bit out of place. You could replace Gallagher with Texier and playing with Danault and Anderson. He could play on that line, would not look the least bit out of place. You could put him on any line in the lineup. You could put him on the power play. You could even, in a pinch, not ideal, but in a pinch, you could even put him on the penalty kill. It would not look out of place. Like, he really is probably the most versatile forward the Canadiens have.
yeah,
Newhook is probably close. Like, Newhook and him are kind of in the same category for me in terms of can play a variety of roles and play a very with a variety of line mates and play on both special teams. But yeah, it's this is why. And so the fact that Texier is in your lineup would present Marty St. Louis with a whole host of options. One of them being keep Texier on the top line, move Slavkovsky back down with Demidov. Then do you decide to put Kapan in there, leave Kapan in there, or use Newhook in the middle of those two? And in which case you have Kapanen to play down and replace Gallagher with Danault and Anderson, where he would fit in quite well and would probably benefit him to play a little further down the lineup as things start to get a little bit more intense towards the playoffs. Or you could keep Kapanen on that second line, and then suddenly you have Newhook on that line with Danault and Anderson. I think that would be a great fit. It just inserting Texier into the lineup, all of those scenarios I just mentioned, and there are more that are open to Marty. They all make those lines better.
yeah,
Everything benefits. Like the Danault line would be better if you had Anderson and Texier, or Anderson and Newhook, or Anderson and Kapanen instead of Gallagher. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality. And so if you're trying to, and when Marty says after the game, like, you have to make hard decisions that benefit the team, even if it means negatively affecting someone you adore. He was talking about Sam Montembeault, but I'm sure while he was saying those words, and whether he realized it or not, but he had to know that this applies to Brendan Gallagher too. And so,
yeah. Plus,
it was
plus
interesting
it's.
that.
Go ahead. What was interesting?
Well, I just find it interesting. Like, everyone asked to talk to Gallagher today, and he didn't come out to talk.
No,
because he knows.
That's true.
He knows what's going on. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and also the other thing that Marty mentioned was how, at first, Gallagher, on his way up to becoming a top 6 forward for the Canadiens, he eventually pushed a veteran player who had seen better days further down the lineup. So it's just life goes on, and it's a cycle.
It's the circle of life.
And it's his turn. That's it. But I asked Philippe Danault today what he has seen as the issue with him and Gallagher starting so many shifts in the offensive zone and not being able to really capitalize on that, because the expected goals are not looking great when the two of them are together, compared to the level of offense that they provide. And he said, I feel like even though we gain possession at first because he wins a majority of his faceoffs, he says, I feel like we're very much one and done in our offense, and we're quickly out of there. And we could try to find ways to sustain our offense and keep possession to extend our shifts in the offensive zone a lot more than what we're doing. But he says that I feel like for some reason, we're not connecting very well. So, and again, I mean, he said that after he was asked 3 or 4 questions about his performances, his lines performances. And at first he was pretty guarded and kept his answers short. And eventually he opened up, because to me, it's one thing to judge Danault and Gallagher together on shifts that start in the defensive zone. And God knows that Danault, when he's away from Gallagher, he's been asked to take a lot of these zone draws. But when they're together, there's a lot of them in the face in the offensive zone. It should serve two veteran guys who have seen better days and have been faster before, but it doesn't translate. And you say, well, we could separate them, but honestly, where else would you move either of them in the lineup? So that's why when you have a guy like Texier who's younger, fresher, and provides more, it's just at this point it just makes the lineup better. So
Did you ask Dano about the fact that he's a little slower than before?
No.
Because I did. I asked him in San Jose.
Yeah, what did he say about that?
Well, I
didn't go well.
pulled him. I mean, I pulled him. It's not that he didn't get angry, but I just asked him. I was like, well, I told him I talked to Gallagher about it, which I have, but it was like a long time ago, earlier this season, and I was just like, what? I was like, you're getting older. You're gonna lose a step. Like, what kind of methods have you learned to like compensate for the speed not being where it used to be? Are there any techniques that you've come up with, or any ways to compensate that you've figured out? And he honestly didn't get offended at the question. It's only natural. He's in his 30s, like it's normal. And then he's like, yeah. And so then he starts answering, and so he's answering in French. He's like, alors quand je trouve que je manque un peu de vitesse, pas tant que ça, by the way. So for those who don't understand French, he's like, when I feel like I'm lacking a bit of speed, he's like, and not that much, by the way. So he just kind of pointed it out, not in like a mean way. He was smiling, but he was also like kind of like, okay, I might have lost a step, but let's not make this into a huge issue. Okay, it's not that big of a step, but there's no doubt, like having more speed on that line, the big beneficiary would be Josh Anderson.
Yeah.
How many times is Josh Anderson on the forecheck and he's all by himself? He's all alone. There's no support. It's like his speed is muted. It's muzzled by playing with Phil and Brendan. Unfortunately, I mean that's what I see.
And I would like to have the Canadiens ramp him up for the playoffs. He's got to be ready to be in a groove when playoffs start. He's a valuable.
Josh Anderson.
Well, we're both fans,
he's the only one of him that they have.
Yeah.
It would have benefited them to get another guy similar to him to put in the lineup, but there's not that many of them in the league. But you were talking about AJ Greer, right? I mean, he didn't get traded at the deadline. You wonder if he doesn't have that speed, but still he plays a robust physical style of hockey. Like it's adding another guy with that sort of mentality would have served them well. And who knows if the mystery trade was for a guy like that? Who knows? We will probably, we might find out this summer. We might not, but yeah, it's. I think having Texier across from him, Newhook across from him, or Kapanen across from him would help Josh Anderson a great deal.
Yeah, I'd like. I know they haven't tried it, but Slav, Newhook, Demidov, I'd like to see that.
I would like to see that. I would definitely like to see that.
Yeah, because
you have So then you have Caulfield, Suzuki, Texier, Slavkovsky, Newhook, Demidov, Bolduc, Evans, Doc.
That stays,
and then Kapanen. Anderson, Dano, Kapanen.
Yeah,
that's a pretty solid group of 12.
I think so.
And if you put, the thing about it is that when you do that exercise of listing those forwards, and you get to Gallagher, you're kind of like the weak links Gallagher, unfortunately. And I don't know. I'd be curious to see, like, let's say he gets the weekend off. Mm-hmm. Like I would love to see him like re-enter the lineup and see what kind of juice he gets after a couple of like his first two healthy scratches since his first NHL game, basically. Like I would like to see what version of Gallagher we see after he's had to sit out for a couple of games. Because if it's anything like the version of Gallagher we saw at practice today, that could be that could be interesting. Like that could be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
In which case you have a real dilemma on your hands. Like, what do you do? How do you set your best lineup?
The survival instinct is a powerful tool, man. And if it gets to a player who says who has to play like every game's his last, we might be surprised with the results positively.
Gallagher has survived his entire hockey life.
Yeah.
From the time he was in Pee Wee to now, he's had to survive. And if there's one guy I could see taking this and turning it into a positive, it's Brendan Gallagher, because this is part of his DNA. It's like, oh yeah, you think I'm done? Watch this. And like,
Right.
so I think there's a whole world of possibilities that get opened if you stick Gallagher out. One of which is you get the best out of Brendan Gallagher. So let's see.
Yeah. The other interesting thing that Dano said is that he says for guys who have played more prominent roles in the past, and he was talking about him and Brendan. He says we all have egos, we all have our pride, and seeing our minutes go down is an adjustment. So I thought it was quite honest from him to say that. But I mean, yeah. So he's been playing less than he has since since he was his first full year in Montreal, basically. Dano, but Gallagher's more used to it by now because he's been playing less and less over the last of maybe the last 3-4 years. But the adjustment is also for Dano, who probably realizes, even though he won't admit it, full flight, but that he's not the same player as he once was. And who knows, maybe that if we get into trying to make sure that guys don't sit around too much and that you want to rest some guys, Dano himself could sit one game for Veleno. And I don't think it wouldn't hurt the team all that much.
No. Just by the way, Phil Dano is still playing 15-40 a game.
Yeah.
He's playing more than Demidov. He's playing more than Evans. He's playing more than Kapanen. He's playing more than Newhook. He should not be complaining about his ice time too much. He's still getting close to 16 minutes a game.
He's playing a lot of PK with
I get it,
Evans.
but he's getting on the ice. I mean, he's playing a lot of PK with Evans. He's still getting 20 seconds more a game than Evans is. So it's like, I'm just saying, I'm just fact checking the guy. When he's mentioning not getting the minutes you're used to, yeah, you might not be getting the minutes you were getting in LA for sure.
When it was
you're still getting
you're
still getting a healthy number of minutes here. Like there's a lot of guys who are getting fewer minutes than you are, so
yeah. And you just name a couple.
Brendan Gallagher's down to 12.39 a game. That's his average on the season.
Yeah.
But when you went through the exercise, like Newhook has 18 points in 24 games. Texier has 19 points in 32 games. Gallagher has 20 points in 64 games. It's like it's not that easy. It's not that simple. I mean, Anderson also has 20 points in 58 games, so you could throw him in that loop, I guess, but it's just like, what do each of them bring that is indispensable? Anderson, we just finished talking about, he's the only type of playoff battering ram that they have. Newhook is he has 0.75 points per game. Like he has 18 points in 24 games. Like he's a very productive player. And Texier, we just mentioned, is can play anywhere, can do anything basically at a very adequate level. I would say he's not elite at anything, but he's very good at a lot of things. And Gallagher's got to bring that element that has been lacking from him this season, because he just seems like he's a step behind too often.
Newhook seems to be getting closer to the version that the Avalanche was hoping to draft.
100 for sure. This is his best NHL season. It's unfortunate it got derailed by a high ankle sprain or whatever it was, a broken ankle.
Broken ankle.
Actually, it was probably better that it was a broken ankle than a high ankle sprain. That would have cost him more time. But yeah, he's indispensable to me. There's no scenario in which I can justify taking Alex Newhook out of the lineup. So.
I don't think that's not a discussion.
Well, it's not, but it is when you look at it if you're trying to get Texier to the lineup and you look at it based on roles. So power play 1, is Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky, Demidov. So they're out of the question. They're not going. PK1, Evans, Dano. So they stay in. PK2, Kapanen, Anderson. They stay in. Then you get to then you get to PP2, which is where Texier would go in. And you look at the guys, Doc's not coming out the way he's playing with Bodzuk and Evans. Bodzuk's not coming out the way he did in the first game after the Olympics. He's made that not a non-starter. And that basically leaves you with candidates being Newhook and Gallagher. Those are the two guys that you're left with when you do a process of elimination. And so that's Gallagher's competition and it's not a competition. It's not close, so it's like, so that's why kind of, if you decide that you have to have Texier in the lineup, there's basically no other option than to take Gallagher out, because, for starters, Gallagher shouldn't be on PP2. It's been a while where he's hindered PP2. Every time he touches the puck, almost, it doesn't go where it's supposed to go. So PP2 would probably be much improved with Texier there as well.
So you'd have Texier, Doc, Newhook, Bolduc, and Dobson.
Yeah.
That's a good PP2.
It is.
Yeah.
It's significantly better than it is when you have Gallagher in there instead of Texier.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Something else. The Canadiens gave a contract to Luke Mittelstadt, defenseman who finished his season in Minnesota. Minnesota did not have the year that they were hoping for. Mittelstadt was their captain, so he's turning pro. He's got a 2-year, two-way contract that kicks off next season, and for the time being, he's got a 1-year deal to finish the season in the AHL with the Laval Rocket. Much needed help on the blue line over there because Engström is still hurt. Toby Paquette-Bisson is out. They had Josh Jacobs,
Didier?
although I think he's ready to come back. Josiah Didier, I think, is getting tested for more serious concerns. Yeah. So yeah, he'll be out. So you got a bunch of guys. There's this guy O'Rourke. Our good friend Danick Louis-Jean was called up from Trois-Rivières, but Mittelstadt is in a good opportunity there to come in and cement his place right away on that blue line. They like him. Honestly, if he cannot dislodge any of those AHL minor league guys, they would not sign him. So clearly, he's got an opportunity to play.
He's going to play.
And yeah. And now it's going to be interesting.
They wanted to sign him last year. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I remember Francis Bouillon talking glowingly about him. So
yeah, Rob Ramage too. They said that they wanted him bad. They went after him pretty hard to sign him, and so this is a pretty remarkable NCAA career. So Luke Mittelstadt just finished his senior year at the University of Minnesota. His 4 years of college: 21 points, 20 points, 18 points, 21 points. Just steady Eddie the whole way through. Like not the slightest dip, really. In terms of production, obviously, there's a lot more to it, but it's the Canadiens have been fond of him for a while. Left shot D. So I wonder if he provides more leeway at some point when Engström is ready to come back and he's on the ice skating at this now, skating on his own at last check. That he hadn't joined the team for practice yet, but he was skating on his own.
Yeah.
Similarly to what happened with Fowler when Engström comes back, gets a game in, does the addition of Mittelstadt change anything? And does it give them a little bit more leeway if they want to give Engström a shot in Montreal to do so?
I think they'll try to get. It's so hard to have a full and healthy lineup in the American League. I think they'll make sure that they have enough guys, enough bodies. You never have too many defensemen, Burge used to say. So I think that applies here. So I know that you think Engström is going to get called up at some point, but if they do that, that means that both um, Jakai and Struble would be scratched. And if both of them are scratched and there's no more rotation between the two of them, um, doesn't it look as though the writing's on the wall for both of them for the in the off season?
Well, it is anyway, right? I mean, honestly, like neither of them have been able to seize that spot. We know the Canadiens tried to get a right shot D at the deadline because neither Struble nor Jacky have been able to seize that spot. And quite frankly, because Caden Gooley's had not a great season so far. Like he
No.
hasn't really been able to pick up his momentum. So listen, I'm not saying Adam Engström's the solution to all of that. But I do think there's going to be some degree of willingness to try it and
Yeah.
see if putting Engström on the right side allows Hudson to go back to the left side, which quite honestly, well, I think Hudson's kind of getting used to playing on the right again. There's been a few like couple of penalties and there's been a few issues since he moved back there. Hasn't been playing badly by any stretch and is definitely the best candidate to play on that right side. But if you have a scenario where you can play Hudson on the left, you can have Gooley on the left side of Alex Carrier. Does that give you a better version of Carrier? Does that give you a better vision of Gooley with maybe a little bit of easier matchups? But it's asking a lot of Adam Engström to come in and fix all that, right? It's like
especially in the stretch heading into the playoffs.
Yeah,
You know,
but this is a guy who played his best hockey last year in the playoffs. It was in the AHL, I understand, but he never really seemed to get enough runway when he was called up earlier this season to build any momentum in his game.
yeah.
And you started to see some of the comfort in carrying the puck and all that stuff. It was starting to come, and it's very similar to Fowler in the sense that it's not similar to Fowler in the sense that I'm not convinced the Canadiens ever seriously went down the road of acquiring a goaltender at the deadline. I think they inquired. I don't think they made huge steps toward acquiring a goalie. They definitely took steps to try and acquire a right shot defenseman. That's no doubt.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. They did. They were ready to pay a price to acquire a right shot defenseman, and so having Engström there and having Reinbacher there, I guess it's totally possible that they view Reinbacher in this light as well. Having the two of them there gives them an option in house, much like Fowler gave them an option in house to solve an issue. It's a lot to ask. Maybe the fact that they have the two of them gives you an option to try both of them and see what works. But I think I'd like to see Gooley Carrier as a third pairing, Hudson on the left, someone else on the right of him, whether that's Engström or Reinbacher, and give it a shot. And listen, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And you still have Struble and Arbor will still be on the roster and they'll still be there.
Yeah.
And you can just go back to that. I don't see the harm in trying it.
No, it's just that the playoffs are a different animal. The style of play is different, and sometimes having guys with a more rugged style can be useful. So if they were to go down that path and say we're going to give a chance to Engström, and if he helps stabilize our right side, well, we'll continue with him. That will tell us something about how they view also the fact that they can overcome what's perceived to be a different type of hockey in the playoffs just based on them saying here's our best lineup as of today, no matter the style of play that's about to be played. It's
the Stanley Cup favorites are going into the playoffs in a very similar way. Stanley Cup favorite, the Colorado Avalanche, have a defense that is constructed in a very similar fashion. They do not have a big rugged D. They have Manson, and that's about it in terms of guys that play a traditional playoff style of defense. That's all they got. So they're viewing it in a very similar fashion. I mean, I don't think it would be the death knell of the Canadiens to go in with like this is what they are. There's no big rugged defenseman coming down the pipe, like there's Reinbacher will be kind of a hybrid of the two. Like when he's fully mature and developed and physically strong, I think there's a little bit of nastiness in his game that will naturally come through when he's at full maturity. But otherwise, I mean, Owen Protz is really the only guy in the system that's going to play a game that like that. Like all the defensemen they have in the system. Bryce Pickford's not like that.
No.
Engström's not like that. Like they haven't been drafting guys like that, frankly. I mean, they didn't even draft Struble, and no one drafted Jack-Eye. So they haven't, other than Owen Protz, they have not been active. So I think there's a belief that they can win in the playoffs with a defense that veers skews mobile. And
Right.
if you're gonna go that way, then just double down on it. Like why not? Like just go ahead and add to it. I don't know. Like we wouldn't be having this discussion if one of Struble or Jack-Eye had nailed down that spot.
For sure. For sure. And I mean,
Like that's
it's been such a turtle race for 2 years between the two of them, figuring out,
yeah.
who's going to get the upper hand and who's going to grasp that spot. And the fact that we're still here today and seeing them go from one to the other, and I'm bringing back the other one because we don't want anybody to sit for too long and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it's about the opponent, who's the opponent, and everything.
Well, when I asked Marty the other day, how do you
unfortunate.
decide between the two? When I asked Marty before the game on Tuesday against Toronto, what goes into your decision making when you decide between Struble and Jack-Eye? His answer was so underwhelming. His answer basically, he said, well, they're two different players. It depends on matchup. A lot of word salad came out. Basically, what his answer said to me is like, well, what else do I got? No, yeah. Basically, like that's what the body language and just the way, like if you guys want to go listen to the answer, it was not an inspiring answer. It wasn't like, well, when this team has this, then I like to have Jack-Eye because he does this really well. And when this team is this, then I like to have Struble. No, it wasn't that. It was basically flip a coin, like more or less, like there's nothing that distinguishes one from the other, unfortunately. And they've each been given ample opportunity to do it. And if one of them had done it, this would not be a possibility. So we'll see. There's certain cap constraints that are going to be lifted, I think, after the weekend, where they could actually make a call up. I don't know if Engström's going to play by then. I doubt it. I'd imagine they'd want him to at least play one game in Laval before coming up, if they were to call him up. And maybe they won't call him up. Maybe they'll call up Reinbacher. Who knows? But like, I think they need to call up one of them. I think they need to do something and try, because right now they have a very strong possibility of being a better option than the combination of Jack-Eye or Struble on their third pair, as opposed to Gouli on their third pair and this guy playing with Hudson or Matheson, however they want to do it, but it's like,
well, and nothing prevents you also to give sometimes the occasional shift to Hudson on the right side and pair him with Gouli, at certain times in the game.
Sure.
But Gouli, Carrier on the third pair, you can give a lot more minutes to your third pair and balance it out a little bit more evenly, rather than have you load everything on your top four. You've got Carrier there who's lingering and he's a bit by himself in the 15, 16 minutes, depending on the night. Sometimes it's more. And then you got your Jack-Eye or Struble who are playing, not even 10 minutes sometimes. So
often
it's you often. So you would probably balance it out better by doing that. And if you think that you hit some tight situations in games where say, maybe that we'll skip Engström for this one, or not put him in this or that situation, you can do that. So they move. Actually, they've gone in so much. They've gone through so much effort to work around 5Ds and not using their 6-1 all that much, that playing 5Ds, it's a little bit the same juggling as when you play 7D, and then you change your D pairings every now and then. And there's a lot of mix and match. They've done a lot of that this season.
It's
So
100%.
so
There's
it
been
to
no
me
stability.
so it looks like it's 7D, but it's 5.5. You know?
It's 4.5. Really. I mean, it's like there's the top four, and then there's Carrier who gets minutes where he can, and then it's to me it's just like the fact that Canadians were on the in the market for a right shot D means they see it as an issue. I always go
Yeah.
back to that. And so that's why I think that if you have a potential solution in house, and Engström is now, this is his second full season in the AHL, correct? If not third? Am I
Second.
wrong? Second, yeah.
Second.
And it's been a year since he's become basically a dominant AHL player. From the end of last season through the playoffs to now, he's been a dominant AHL player. He has 33 points in 40 AHL games this year. You know, it's like and my understanding is that he was in high demand. Any conversation the Canadiens were having, his name came up. And so it's just I think it's just a natural thing to try. And the beauty of it is that you have enough time in the season. It's not such a crazy experiment that it's going to cost you results. Like, you're not going to lose because Adam Engström's in the lineup. If you can't handle it, you could just manage the blue line the way you've been managing it for months. You know, Engström becomes Struble or Jacky, where he sits for a long time. You know, it's like it's not that big of a deal. But you got to try it. Like the reward potential is way higher than the risk. Like, it's way higher than the risk. It's almost no risk.
What I like about Engström versus calling up Reinbacher, first, Reinbacher, I think that the more reps he could get at the American League level, the better it is. He's getting into a rhythm right now. He's playing games. He's playing well. I think I'd say leave him be for the time being.
Yeah.
But Engström, you call him up, it's either he's part of our future, and why not give the kid some reps, you know, in the playoff race environment and in the playoff environment, or he might very well be a trading chip in the off season. And if we call him up at the time where in crunch time we gave a vote of confidence for that kid, it only enhances his profile. So
yeah,
you cannot go wrong either way.
No, it's totally 100% win-win, and it's like it's the only loser in it would be Laval. Laval would be the loser of losing Engström. They would be the loser. So, but yeah,
they're prepared for that. They know that there's that forever churn of players, that the best ones are destined to leave. That's how it works.
100%.
That's why they're there
to feed. They're there to feed the machine, and so, so yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think this weekend is going to happen, and then we're going to talk to you all on Monday, and then we're going to hit the date somewhere around the 16th where the cap space becomes permissible for the Canadiens to bring up either Engström or Reinbacher or whoever they want. Really, they could bring someone else up for all we know, but that's the window where we might see something. So we will speak to you before that window opens. Want to bring up our live show? We haven't talked about the live show.
No, we have not. Yeah, you're right.
No.
Yeah, but just I just want to mention regarding the cap that they will have enough cap because obviously the salary is prorated. So as you get closer to the end of the season, it gets easier and easier to squeeze those players. So you could add one, but then it's going to remain a challenge if you want to add, let's say, Michael Hage. Let's hope for his sake that if they want him to turn pro, that he has a fairly long road to the Frozen Four. Because if there's an early elimination, they might not have the room right away.
They might have to wait. They might have to wait. Yeah, it would probably. But if it's only like one game, then it'll just be like a few $1,000s. It should be pretty manageable. So
that's it.
We'll see.
Okay, the live
show, March 19th. Live show, March 19th. As it stands right now, we have 81 tickets sold out of the 100 that's sold. 81 tickets have been claimed out of the 100 available for free on Eventbrite. So if you want to come to the show, it's Thursday, March 19th at Hurley's Irish Pub, 1225 Crescent between Rennes-Lévesque and St. Catherine. Doors open at 6. We recommend getting there relatively early if you want to get a good spot, like a good seat where you can eat and watch the game in comfort. Otherwise, we had a lot of people standing at the last event, having to watch the game standing. So I guess the earlier you get there, the better. We still have 19 tickets available. So I guess act fast if you want to come, because we will be asking for tickets at the door, even though they don't cost anything. There's 100 people who are allowed in the room, and so that's how that is. Marc Antoine is working on his quiz.
Yeah, I did one
ready.
in
better be ready, people. Better be ready for the quiz.
Yeah, it's not
caps on.
It's not a lot easier than the first one.
He didn't dumb it down a whole lot.
No, I might though. I still have time to do that.
Yeah,
because I test drove it on you earlier today, and
it was challenging. It was challenging.
Yeah. It's more. It's more an exercise of digging players' names in your memory. It's all about just. It's as if you were flipping hockey cards and say, "Oh, look at that guy. Oh, yeah, that guy." It's very much a that guy type of quiz, more than stats or things like that. So
yeah.
All right, but it's going to be a lot of
fun night. It'll be a fun night. Yeah. So if you want to come, go to Eventbrite. The link to the tickets is going to be in the show notes of this episode, or you can look on our social media accounts. It's up there. Or you can just look up BasuandGodin on eventbrite.ca. You can find it that way too. So there's only 20% of the tickets are still there. If you want to come, we would love to have you. And it's a fun night. It was fun in November when we did it. I think everyone really enjoyed it. So if you didn't have a chance to go to that one, we hope to see you at this one. Thursday, March 19th, Hurley's Irish Pub.
That's it. So that was the first time was the night that Jacob Dobes cried after the game.
That's right. So, and people were trying to tell us during the episode. We had John Still was there from TSN 690, and he was trying to tell us. He was sending me text messages like, "Dobes just cried in the post game. Like you should mention it on the show." And I didn't look at my text messages because I try not to. Yeah.
Let's see who cries this time around.
Let's see who cries. Yeah, that's it. But it's a big game, Montreal, Detroit. It should be like and honestly, like if you don't want to stay, like a lot of people came to watch the game and didn't actually stay for the podcast recording because it was pretty late. Like we do it after the game, and it was just fun to watch the game with a bunch of fans. Like it was just a fun vibe to watch a game in. It was 100 people, all Canadiens fans, and so if you want to do that, just come to watch the game, have a bite to eat, have a couple of drinks, watch the game, and then go home. You can do that too. That's part of the allure of the event. And then the live podcast recording goes after the game, so starting at around 9:30, 9:40ish.
The Canadiens are in a playoff race with an interesting number of teams, but the Red Wings are one of them, and they're tailing off right now. That's they're in a downward spiral right now. They've won 5 of their last 15 games. They lost Dylan Larkin for at least 2 weeks, and they have a lifetime. They have a losing record. The Detroit Red Wings, when Dylan Larkin is not in uniform, have a record of. No, sorry, that's not even it. Okay, never mind. I don't have the stat, but it's not pretty. He's their number one center.
Well, and their record in March, the last few years has been awful. Like last year, they fell apart down the stretch in March.
They did.
The year before, they fell apart down the stretch in March, and now they appear to be doing it again. So now this is going to become a thing in Detroit. Like this is going to be. So now next March, if they kind of peter out here and miss the playoffs, then come next March is going to be what the playoffs used to be for the Leafs, where everyone's like, yeah, well, who cares? We'll see what you do in the playoffs. It's going to become in Detroit. It's going to be like, yeah, who cares? We'll see what you do in March. Like, let's get to March and then show us something in March. So Detroit has to turn that around, and they'd have a big opportunity to do so in this game on Thursday against Montreal at home.
Yeah, Montreal. The Canadiens have a chance also to boot them out of the playoffs with the red hot Columbus Blue Jackets being
Yeah.
going in full force right now. So now it's going to be an interesting game. So come and watch it with us and participate in our quiz. Then we'll have our live episode that's going to air also, obviously, on Friday morning. So on that note, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back on Monday for another episode of the Basu and Godin Notebook. So have a great weekend.